Hello, and good evening, everyone. So thank you all for taking some time to join us here today for the year program presentation on the 2021 application cycle. First, I'd just like to kindly thank the American Center in Moscow for providing us the platform here for today's event. Just for some quick introductions, my name is Zoe, and I do work here on the year program. I'll also be joined by my colleague Vitali, who will speak a bit later on in the presentation. And then we're also very happy to be joined by two year program alumni who will also speak a bit later on in the presentation. And we'll be joined today by Kira and Diana. So it does look like we're joined by well over 200 participants. So it's really great to see so many of you so interested to learn about applying to the current application year. And just to note, before we do get started with the presentation, we will have a Q&A session later on. So please feel free to ask any questions that you might have that come up about the program. Please feel free to leave those in the chat box, whether you're watching on Facebook, YouTube, or VK. So just to start, I would like to go over quickly just what we're going to cover in the presentation today. So first, we'll discuss just a general overview of the program. We'll cover funding and stipend, eligibility requirements, and then we'll actually discuss the application, the package, and the process, and how to actually go about applying for the program. And then we'll also be joined, as I mentioned, by two-year alumni, Kira and Diana. And then we'll be followed by a question and answer session. So please do go ahead and ask those questions in the chat. So as you might be probably familiar with, the Year of Exchange in America for Russians program is really a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for Russian undergraduate students to study in the United States. And the goal of the program really is to help promote mutual understanding between the people of the United States and Russia through this academic exchange year experience. Participants are also supported really in developing a deep understanding of American culture and society, as well as improving their academic and professional skills while they're in the program. So as you could probably imagine, there's definitely so many benefits to applying and participating in the year program. So for example, you'll have the chance to actually experience what it's like to be on an American campus. You'll make lasting connections with so many American, international students, and also your Russian peers in the program. And then you'll also have the chance to explore a lot of the diversity of the United States by traveling to popular tourist destinations across the country. And then lastly, you'll have the really interesting opportunity to serve as a cultural ambassador by sharing your own culture with your own Russian culture with American people. And of course, following the program, you'll join the U.S. Government Alumni Exchange Network. So next, we'll just discuss some of the academic components of the program. So participants in the year program do study full-time while they're in the United States. This means that they'll take 12 credits per semester. Students enroll in at least 2 courses in their field of study in Russia. So for example, if your major is international relations, you might study courses in political science, US government, American history while you're in the US. Participants also take at least 1 course in American studies during their semester in the US. So this, for example, might be a course like American history, American literature, something related to American studies, just to learn a bit more about the history of the United States. And the program does partner with both universities and community colleges all across the United States. As students study at either a community college and university, you might be wondering what the difference is between these two institutions. So to start with community colleges, these are institutions that offer 2-year degrees that are much more focused on specific technical degree areas like IT, STEM, or even liberal arts. The 2-year degrees do count towards a 4-year degree program, which students usually go on to complete after they graduate from a community college. Community colleges are usually much smaller schools, but they do have the added benefit of giving a lot of personalized attention and support to students due to their smaller class sizes. We've had many year previous year participants that have had really wonderful experiences being placed at community colleges because of the small class sizes and support that they offer to students. And one of our alumni, Kira, who will join us a bit later on, actually attended SUNY Broome Community College, and she'll speak a little bit about her experience there. And then you're probably familiar with a university, which would be similar to the one that you attend in Russia. These are four-year degree programs, and they offer a bit wider range selection of majors to choose from. They range in size from 1,000 students to sometimes over 40,000. So class sizes could be very small from 10 students to very large at over 200 just in one lecture. And as you can see from the slide, both community colleges and universities have a lot of diversity on campus. And you'll be able to find students from different backgrounds, areas of study, and even nationalities while you're in the US. So, apologies. So another important aspect of the program is students participating in extracurricular and cultural activities just to help students learn a bit more about everyday American life and society. So first to start, participants do complete community service activities. So just some popular examples of this are volunteering at animal shelters, assisting the elderly at nursing homes, participating and helping out at food banks, helping to clean up the environment. There's a range of activities that you can participate in, and many year students have really had wonderful opportunities to work within their communities. Students also participate in other organizations and cultural events just to teach others about Russian culture and history. So for example, some of our previous year alumni have given presentation on Russian holidays, and they've also been able to teach the Russian language at elementary schools in their host communities. And next, students jointly make videos about their academic and cultural experience in the US. And lastly, participants learn just a bit more about American values and daily life by connecting with American families for short-term experiences like weekly meals, holidays, and fun cultural activities. For example, like going to a baseball game, maybe an American football event, concerts. There's a range of activities to choose from. And just to move on, another really important aspect of the program is, of course, the funding. So the year program is fully funded, and it does cover all program-related expenses, including the J-1 visa and the cost of the TOEFL exam, which we know many of you have asked about. So being fully funded, the year program does cover round-trip airfare. And round-trip airfare does include travel from your home in Russia to your host community in the United States. So for example, if you live in Moscow, your airfare will be purchased from Moscow to your host community in, say, New York. The program also covers tuition and fees, room and board, meaning room and housing, stipend, health insurance, and a small stipend for books. So now that you just have some more information about the program itself, you're probably wondering who is eligible to apply for the 2021 year. So as you can see, the program is really welcoming to students from all backgrounds and fields of study. And we do really strongly encourage students with disabilities to participate. Many previous year participants have come from all across Russia and really from really diverse and interesting backgrounds, which really adds to the overall diversity and the richness of the year program. So as you can see over here on the right, these are the main eligibility requirements that students must meet to fully submit an application for the 2021 year. I would just like to highlight a few important ones here. So students must be citizens of the Russian Federation, as well as being enrolled in the first and second year of a four-year program, and the first, second, and third year of a five-year program. And of course, students must be enrolled in a Russian university. And additionally, just to note, students applying must be eligible to receive a J-1 visa, as well as an international passport to be able to travel to the United States. So next, I would just like to invite my colleague Vitaly to speak about the application package and process.
Thank you. Thank you, Zoe. And I'm very happy to welcome all the participants today at our presentation. It is great to see many questions coming in. So I would like just to remind you to submit your questions in the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to ask any questions. We are here to answer your questions and to help you understand better about the program and how to submit the application. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to speak about the application process. I hope you can hear me well in terms of the sound. So the easiest way for you to submit the application, the online application, is to go on the website of our program, which is yearofexchange.org. I will run a demonstration at the end of this presentation. But if you are looking where to start, go to the website of the program, and there you can see the link to how to start the application. So the application package includes several documents. So the first one is the online application, which I just mentioned. The second one is the essay or statement of interest, sometimes referred to. The essay is a short essay where you are asked to answer why are you interested to participate in the program and how the program will benefit you, how the program will help you. And if there was one thing that people would ask me to recommend, I would say pay special attention to the essay, because we want, and the review team want to see your motivation to participate in the program. What are your future goals and how the participation in the program are linked to your future career goals. So please be creative here and convince the review team to why do you want to participate in the program. The other documents here listed, and I will speak shortly in the next slides, but they are the resume, which sometimes in Russia is also called autobiography. It is a little bit different as a document, but I'll explain shortly. With the application, you also need to submit an official transcript, a copy of the official transcripts in Russian, and a copy of the English translation of the transcripts. Applicants also should be ready to have one letter of recommendation to upload on the program, on the application, and a copy of the international passport. When we speak about the copy of international passport, we mean the information page, basically the page that has your information with the first, last name, date of birth, your place of birth, and so on. So please do not upload the entire passport. Upload just the copy of international passport. Many applicants asked us, can I apply if I don't have an international passport? Yes, you can apply. In this case, you can submit, you can upload a copy of your internal passport. The same rule applies if you have a passport that is expiring soon or has expired. You can upload a copy of the international passport that expired, because at this point, we just want to see your copy of information page, just to check your date of birth and place of birth. As you can see, the deadline to apply for the program is November 30th. And one recommendation I would make is to take time to prepare for the application. Don't leave it for the last moment, because as you can see, there are a number of documents that you have to upload, and this takes time. It takes time for you to get a letter of recommendation. It takes time to get the official transcript. So please take your time in advance and prepare, collect these documents. Don't leave it for the last moment, because you may miss the deadline, because if you don't have a document that is required by the program. So the next, I would like to speak about the resume and to explain you what's the difference, because we are getting many questions about the resume. And particular students ask applicants, what is the resume? What should include the resume? There are different names for the resume. Sometimes people call it in Russia, they said, autobiography. Sometimes it's called CV. Of course, resume and autobiography, they're two different documents, because in autobiography, as we say in Russian, it's a narrative description of your life. Basically. In the resume, it is a very well-structured and well-written information about your academic and professional experience. So the program, I would just want to make sure that the program does not require a specific format. So you can design resume whichever format you want. Here we have a template. We have a sample of the resume which we downloaded from the internet, and you can see the link here. But once again, we are not requiring participants to follow the exact template. So please be creative, and you can find many samples models on the internet, and you can use the one that fits best your interest. So what usually the resume will include? The resume will definitely include your name, your first, last name. So it will include information about your academic background. So for example, your high school, your university you're currently attending. It also includes, it may include information about your work and volunteering experience if you have some experience. So as you can see in this sample, there is a work history or volunteering community service section, and you can include your experience here. If you speak different languages, you can use also another section like foreign languages, language skills, and list the languages you are speaking. Many of you are participating also in different Olympiad competitions, I would say academic competitions like Olympiada, and you can include also these certificates here, the list of certificates, your awards, your scholarships. So that's another section you may consider to include if you have any awards and certificates. If you participate in any academic or scientific conferences, or you have any publications, there's also the possibility to include this in the resume. So as you can see, there are many ways to design the resume. So we ask you to be creative. Maybe one thing I would like to focus here on the awards and scholarships is because many students ask us, should they upload the awards and scholarships in the application, and should they translate them from Russian into English? The short answer to that is no, you're not required to translate them into English. What you can do is upload them in Russian in the application and list them here in the resume in English. So when the reviewer looks at the resume, he has an understanding of about your awards, your certificates, and then we can see them in the application itself. So the next document I would like to focus is the letter of recommendation. So because we also get many questions from students, what is the letter of recommendation? Who should write this letter? So per application, you're required to submit at least one letter of recommendation. You may submit the second letter of recommendation, you have this possibility. But you don't have to submit two. One letter would be sufficient. The letter can be written basically by anyone. So you decide who should write the letter of recommendation for you. It can be your university teacher, it can be your high school teacher, it can be your employer, anyone. It's important that the person who is writing your letter of recommendation should be able to speak about your academic and professional skills and why they are recommending you for the program. So it's up to the applicant to decide who should write the letter of recommendation. One important remark here, the letter, when we say that it can be written by anyone, but except a family member, because I'm sure you will get the best recommendation from your parents, from your mother, father, but the letter of recommendation should be a professional and academic one. So please keep in mind this. In terms of the length, usually it would be 1 page. In some cases, it goes to 2 pages, but in most cases, a letter of recommendation will be up to 1 page, on 1 page. Many applicants ask us, what should the letter of recommendation include? And whether should it include a logo, should it include a stamp, or should signature or not? So the letter of recommendation definitely should have the name of the person who is writing the letter of recommendation. It should include the title of the person who is writing the recommendation. So if it's a high school teacher, if it's a university professor, if it's an employer, please include this title here, they should include. If they have any affiliation, they could include here. For example, they could say, teacher, I don't know, Moskovskaya Shkola, high school school in Moscow, or Moscow State University, High School of Economics University, so the affiliation. A stamp is not required for the letter of recommendation. It's up to the person who is writing the letter of recommendation if he wants to put the stamp from the institution he's affiliated or not. But usually it's not required to have a stamp on the letter of recommendation. What the letter of recommendation will have, it will have the signature. And we realize it's difficult now because of the COVID to get the letter of recommendation, to visit the office, to visit the university. Yeah, so the person who is writing the letter of recommendation can use electronic signature. So it's important to have this information here, these elements, the name, title, institution affiliations, if any, and signature. Another documents I would like to focus on now are the transcripts, because many students ask, what are the transcripts? So here, the transcripts are basically your records of your exams. So if you are in a university, usually in university, it will be справка об успеваемости or зачетная книжка, as we say in Russian. So if you are a second and third year student in Russia, you will be asked to submit your university transcript with the grades from all the previous sessions. So if you're second year students from your first year sessions, like winter session and summer session, the same rule applies for the third year students. Now, what happens if you are a first year student? And we get many questions of this. You definitely don't have any university records. You don't have any grades. So first year students will submit their highest school diploma with grades. Or in Russian, as we say, школьный аттестат с оценками. So if you're a first year student, you will submit the high school diploma with a grade. So there is a section in the application about the high school diploma. And the next, once you have the Russian copy, you will be also asked to submit a translation of the transcripts. The transcripts have to be translated, but they are not required to be authenticated by a notary. So it's not required to go to a notary and get it authenticated. You can translate it yourself. You can, an English teacher, and if you have the possibility at the university, put a stamp that confirms that the translation is accurate. And with this, I think I would like to ask Diana to go next, speaking about the extracurricular experience here. Oh no, actually, yeah, one last, yeah. So the application stages, I think, yeah. So just when you have information about the program, what the application stages. So the first one is application deadline, November 30th. As I mentioned, please take time, work on the application, don't leave it for the last moment. Once you submit the application, we will start reviewing your applications during the month of December and January. After the initial review of the online application, the program will invite semi-finalists to a virtual interview that will be conducted in January and February of next year. Following the virtual interviews, the program will select the finalists and alternate candidates, so students on the waiting list, and the program will invite them to take the TOEFL test. And as Zoe mentioned, the program covers TOEFL tests. So following the TOEFL test, the program will work with host institutions and will match students with host institutions, meaning enrolling students at the US institutions, university or community college. And finally, students are expected to travel in US in August 2021. And with this, yeah, I would like to invite Diana to speak, or Kira to speak about her community service and volunteering experience.
Thank you, Vitaly. Hi, everyone. My name is Kira, and I'm a year alumna. So last year, I was studying at SUNY Broome Community College. So I'm here today to tell you a little bit about volunteering and community involvement. So as you know, it is a part of year program to complete 25 hours of volunteering. That's a lot, right? And you may be thinking, wow, where should I volunteer? How volunteering is different in Russia and in the United States? And what is volunteering after all? So I'm here to answer all these questions and share a little bit of my experience. So let's start with the definition of community service is actually any help in many different ways. As it was mentioned before, from helping your professor, library. You can also volunteer at different, there is a first point that volunteering, it helps you to learn a lot about your community. Of course, community service is connected with your community. So as for me, my first experience of volunteering was when I just came into the United States. It was in August, and I wasn't familiar with my host area. I didn't know many people, just my host family. So then I got a chance to volunteer at community dinners. So what we did, me and the other volunteers, we cooked and served food for people who are in need. This way, I couldn't only contribute to my community, but also meet other volunteers, learn about their goals, why they do volunteering. Also, they were from very diverse backgrounds, and it helped me to learn much more about my host area. Also, I would like to say that volunteering is a great way to challenge yourself and even develop some personal skills. So, do you know Maslenitsa, like Russian celebration? Yes, it's a celebration full of fun and joy, where you make blinchiki. I love them. So Russians have it, but Americans don't have such traditions. So what we did, as you can see on the picture on your screen, me and my year friends, and also some students from International Students Club on campus, we organized Maslenitsa. Of course, it was kind of challenging. We had to find a place, organize everything, work with many people, set up the place. But overall, we had an event, we had those fresh pancakes, we had Russian language lessons going on, and I was giving a presentation about Russia, our culture and traditions. So it was very rewarding to see the interest in people's eyes. And also, as I said, community service is deeply connected with people. And it's a great way to make friends and even find professional connections. As I said before, I got a lot of friends on campus, for example, from International Students Club. What is more, I got more friends while volunteering. So there was an event, US Figure Skating Championships, which you can also see on the screen. I myself just love figure skating. So as soon as I heard about this opportunity, me and my other year friend applied to this event. And we got a chance to work with media team. There were a lot of professionals who were working with world famous sportsmen. And I haven't mentioned before, my major at college was communications and media arts. So this way I was able to meet professionals, ask a lot of questions, get some mentoring and useful advice. So overall, I would like to say that community service is not only a great way to contribute to your community, make connections with people, but also challenge yourself and develop some personal qualities. And also, in conclusion, I would like to give some advice to all the applicants, to all the people who are watching this live right now. I know it is hard to apply for the program. Like, I have gone through all of these stages, collecting documents. I know it is difficult, especially now. But please don't be afraid and believe in yourself. All these stages are just made for your team to learn much more about you, to learn who you are. So please be creative, express yourself, and just be honest. So also, I would like to say that please feel free to ask any questions to me about community service or my experience, or you can do it after the presentation. I will be happy to answer. So thank you. And let me introduce my friend Diana, who will be speaking about her host family experience.
Thank you, Kira. So my name is Diana, and I'm alumna of your program. And I got an opportunity to study at Alma College in the state of Michigan. And for a month, I lived with a host family. So my host family included both host parents and their two daughters, aged 17 and 10. And I was very warmly welcomed by all of them, and they were always there to help me. Whether it was some bank account paperwork or helping me with moving to campus, they always offered me assistance and always cared about my well-being. And the most memorable part about my whole American host family experience was probably going on road trips with my host family. And we have traveled to both Upper and Lower Peninsula in the state of Michigan. And thanks to them, I discovered how beautiful this state is. And I really think that Michigan is underrated in terms of traveling in the US. It's a beautiful place. So the main goal of the year program is the Russian cultural exchange. And I feel like this goal can be totally achieved within your host family experience. For example, my host family and I visited the local American Catholic Church. And as you know, the USA is a country of multiple religions, and every single community in America has its own traditions. And that day is actually captured on the first picture on the slide. And I've never been on a Sunday service before, so it was truly something totally new to me. And finally, I got an opportunity to spend Thanksgiving with my host family. They introduced me to some Thanksgiving customs like cooking turkey together and giving gratitude to the pilgrims. So in return, I also really wanted to introduce my host family to some Russian culture, because a year finalist becomes a Russian cultural ambassador in the US. And firstly, I brought some gifts from Russia, such as Russian candies like Alenka, Matryoshka dolls, and some Russian history books and postcards, and they absolutely loved it. Another way of spreading Russian culture can be through cooking national cuisine. And during a month of homestaying with an American family, I cooked several Russian dishes like borscht, blinchiki, pyrozhki with potatoes. And you can actually see the process of cooking Russian pierogies with my host sister Madison on the third picture on the slide. And they all adored the food that I cooked. And fun fact, they now eat buckwheat or grechka, thanks to me. And finally, I introduced some Russian Soviet cinematography to my American family. They watched Moscow Doesn't Believe in Tears and The Diamond Arm, and they laughed a lot on the second one. And to Madison, a 10-year-old, I showed the Russian Winnie and the Pooh, Cheburashka, and Masha and the Bear, and she now regularly watches Masha and the Bear on Netflix. Overall, I had a very positive experience with the host family, and I think that living with an American host family gives you a better understanding and more profound understanding of American culture in general. And as for advice for year applicants, I think that you guys should keep in mind that the main part of your application are your essay and your resume. And in my opinion, besides listing your achievements, don't be afraid to admit that there are some things that you would like to improve, that you aspire to do. For example, before year program, I wasn't sure in my leadership skills. And actually, thanks to the year program, I joined the Model UN, and no doubt it put my leadership, team working skills, my public speaking skills on a higher level. So my recommendations are just be brief, get straight to the point, and be honest, and be creative, of course. And good luck with your application. I'm sure you will all succeed. So that sums up my part of presentation, and now I will turn the floor back over to Vitaly.
Thank you, Kira. Thank you, Diana. I think here we had the applicants, you heard great experience, what the community service and homestay experience is. I see we have over actually 40 questions at this point. So some of them are covering homestay and volunteering experience, so we will go straight to them. But before, very quickly, I would like just in 2 minutes to demonstrate how to get to the application process. So can I share my screen? So in order to start the application, as I said, the easiest way is you go to the yearofexchange.org website, on our website, and you can apply either from the very first page here, apply, But we would recommend going to the for students sections and reading carefully the requirements of the program. There is a nice video here. And then at the end, you will be the start your application. So you'll click at the start of application, and this will lead you to the website of the portal where you should submit the application. If it is your first time visiting this website, you will have to create an account. So you will sign up here. And once you sign up here, you will receive an email to your personal email, and you will create an account here. So basically we have an account, but if you're a returning applicant, you will just click login, and it will get you straight to the application. So this will be the next page. You will get started and you will start your application. So you will see this web page, student application. You will open, and the first section that you will see is the eligibility check. You will have to answer the eligibility requirement questions. There are a number of eligibility requirements. So as you can see, and then if you pass the eligibility check, then it will get you to complete the application. So you will fill out with the information about you. One section here, the emergency contact information. Many people ask us what should include in the relationship. So it's basically what is your relationship with the person included in the emergency contact information. So if you included your parents, your mother, your father, you would write here mother, father, brother, or relative. And then you would include the academic information, and it will get you to the, here is the essay section, where I will say to write your motivation to participate in the program, and then the upload documents. You will select the resume, you will select a file, you will click here, and it will open a box to your computer, and you will have the possibility to upload the file. If you have any additional documents, you will click here, and another window will pop up, another field, and you will select here. So if I have another certificate I want to add, it will pop up another window here. One section here is the disability disclosure. This is a very voluntary, it's a voluntary section. As we said, we encourage students with disabilities to apply for the program. But you have the possibility to answer this question or not. So it's up to the applicant. It is a voluntary disclosure. And once you finish it, you mark it as complete. If you still want to return back, you will click on the save draft here. Please just to make a quick remark here. Once you mark it complete, you will not be able to return and make changes to the application. You will be able to see it, but you will not be able to make edits. So with this, I would like to stop sharing the screen and go into the questions. And for the 2 minutes I spoke, I think we have already 46 questions. And we will ask Diana. Yeah, Diana, if you can help us going through these questions.
I'm happy to help you moderating the Q&A session. And just let's dive into it. There are a lot of questions. So Poliana asks, can major differ from the program I'm studying at the university?
Well, basically, what we want to say is that the program aims to enhance students' academic knowledge in their field of study. And I think I saw some other questions also, how many subjects and credits will be in the semester. So per semester, students will take minimum 12 credits, maximum 15 credits. So these are, I would say, 4 or 5 credit courses per semester. So you have the possibility to take additional courses in addition, besides those 2 which are required in your field of study. So you have 2 courses in your field of study, 1 course in American field of study, and you can take 1, 2 more courses per semester in elective courses in other fields that you are interested. So if you are interested, you're doing international politics, you're interested in IT, you may have this opportunity to take additional 2 courses. But when we are registering you to the university, we are submitting your application with your major field of study. Because try to understand the hosting universities in US, they will place you in a department that is that fits with your major in Russian, because they will see your grades from Russia. They will see that you are majoring, for example, in political science. So they will place you with the political science department in the United States. So the short question is, you are expected to continue studies in your field of studies, but you have the possibility to take additional courses.
Mm-hmm. And in addition to these questions, listener asks, can medical students take part in the program?
That's a very good question. Yeah, as I said, yeah, the program is open to all fields of study. Anyone can submit an application, medicals, lawyers, law students. But here we have to be honest, and we all know that medical studies and law studies in US, they differ from the law and medical studies in Russian. So basically at the undergraduate level, there are no medical degrees studies. So if they may apply, but if they're coming to US, they will take courses that are very closely related to medicine, but it's not a medical degree. So they may take courses like in public health, for example, but it's not going to be a course like in medicine, I don't know, for example, dental assistant, dental care, or nursing or something like this. And it might be the case that if you are studying in Russia, if you're a third, fourth-year student at medical school in Russia, and you're coming to US and taking these basic courses, you may think of, well, yeah, whether it's these good courses for me or not. So you have the possibility to apply, but please keep in mind that you will take very basic courses, not courses that are matched to your courses in Russia. So these are two fields that I would like to highlight. These are medical and law. So they can apply, but please keep in mind the realities, the differences between US and Russia in terms of medical studies and law studies.
Mm-hmm. Dmitry asks, what particular universities are engaged?
Zoe, do you want to take this one?
Sure, thank you, Vitaly. Yeah, definitely a very good question. So as I mentioned, we do partner with both community colleges and universities all across the United States. So the program partners with over 45 institutions, and it's pretty split down the middle in terms of 50% community colleges and 50% universities. And these universities can be found, as I mentioned, all over the US. So we have many different universities and community colleges out in the Northwest and the West Coast of the United States. We have students placed in the Northeast, like SUNY Broome Community College in New York State. We also have students in kind of the more southern region in Florida. For example, we have Valencia Community College. We have the University of Mississippi down in the South. In the Northwest, we have Lake Tahoe Community College. So the students are really diversified in terms of where they're placed. And our community colleges and universities are also really different in terms of the size and the kind of course offerings that they offer, but they're all really great institutions that will be able to give you a really great experience and help you improve upon your academic and cultural experience while you're in the US.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it was covered in your presentation, but Taisia is wondering, where will the students live during the program, host families or on campus?
Yes, students will be placed basically on campus, but they will connect for short terms with host families. So meaning like weekends, the holidays, as you, Diana, mentioned, yeah, for the Thanksgiving, especially like, for example, fall has many holidays, so students will connect with students for holidays with host families, but the main placement is on campus.
Mm-hmm. Lilia asks, can one transfer grades from the US to the Russian university after finishing year program?
Well, that's a great question. Usually, yes, students can transfer some, but I would say that depends on your home university in Russia. So if your home university in Russia accepts the grades, the credits from US, then you can transfer. In many cases, universities accept as part of the academic mobility, and students can travel to US as part of the academic mobility. In some cases, universities, they say it's not a partner university, they say they will not accept credits from the United States. So I would say it's 50-50. It depends of your discussion with the home university in Russia and depends on the rules existing at the home university in Russia. And there are many different universities in Russia, and each university has its own rules and regulations regarding this. But there are cases when students can transfer their credits.
Margarita asks, to whom personally can I address my motivation letter? Or dear hiring team sounds okay?
Yeah, I think Zoe, I think, yeah, it's fine. Yeah, you can, to whom it concerns, the year program review team. Yeah.
Yulia asks, do disabled people have any benefits?
It's a good question. Yeah. I wouldn't say have any benefits, for example, saying that if you're a student with disability, you will automatically be enrolled in the program. They may have slight, I would say, we are strongly encouraging them, and they may have a slight preference in terms, but I wouldn't say they have benefits, major benefits comparative to other students. They encourage, and we take a closer look, the review team, and encourages and is supporting students with disabilities to participate in the program. Just one remark, for example, that when the review team is reviewing the application, they don't see that a person has a disability or not. So this comes at the later stage, but I would say the program provides all the support to students with disability when they are on campus, and universities and colleges, they have great resources for students with disabilities and helping them to have an accessible living environment on campus. So students with disabilities will feel very comfortable and in inclusion on campuses. And we encourage them to take the benefits of all the resources provided on campus. Almost all schools, I would say, every school has a department providing support to students with disabilities.
Mm-hmm. Natasha asks, can I use the transcript from the previous academic year?
I think I know, Natalia. If from the previous application, I think it would not be sufficient. Probably we speak about students who applied last year, because you have already studying for the second year currently at the university. So you will be asked to submit the transcript with the last grades from the summer session of 2020. So the transcript used during the last year application would not be sufficient because we had additional one semester studied. So you have to include the grades from the last session.
Mm-hmm. So there have been a couple questions about IELTS scores. For example, Ludmila asks, in the application, in the line about IELTS results, there is not 7.5 option, only 7 or 8. What should I choose?
Well, at this point, yeah, you can choose 7 or 8, whichever feels more comfortable. If you think you have more chances with 8, you can put 8. If you feel want to be more modest, you can put 7. At this point here, you can attach them under the additional certificates, the IELTS certificate, and the review team will look at it. So because the English proficiency, English in terms of TOEFL test or English comes at a later stage. So you can put 7 or 8, whichever you're comfortable, and just attach it to the application in the upload document sections.
Mm-hmm. Anastasia asks, should we have a stamp on the recommendation letter?
Zoe, do you want to take this one?
Yeah, so I believe as Vitaly mentioned, we don't require you to have a stamp on the recommendation letter. But if it's something that the person writing your letter would like to include, then they're definitely welcome to.
So there is a question about scholarship. Ludmila asks, what is the amount of the monthly scholarship or stipend?
That's a very good question. Yeah, as I say, it's a modest scholarship, monthly stipend, and it differs from year to year. Sometimes we had students when they had $175 per month and $150, $125. So it's still pending confirmation, the exact amount, but this is probably the range students should consider based on the previous years. It's definitely, I would say that it's a modest scholarship, but it's sufficient to cover your basic personal expenses, because all other expenses are basically covered. Your tuition and fees are covered by the program. You don't have to worry about paying to the university for any courses or tuition. Your housing is covered. Your meals at the college, meaning meal plans, are also covered because students are also enrolled in the meal plan at the campus. So your meals are also covered. Plus you have a book allowance, which also you can purchase book for your course, for the courses, and the health insurance. So all these expenses are covered, and then you have this small, modest stipend for your basic personal needs. Of course, yeah, we all know everyone wants bigger scholarships, but yeah, I would say it covers, it's sufficient for the basic needs, and the program covers all other expenses.
Also asks, can we choose where we will study, in the university or in college?
Zoe, do you want to take it?
Sure. Yeah, so the program does place and match and place students with the university or community college that they'll study with in the United States. But we do make sure to place students with an institution that will be able to provide them with a really strong academic and cultural experience. So we really make sure that you'll be enrolled in an institution that you'll be able to take courses in your field of study, and maybe also related to some of your own professional interests. So we do choose where students will be placed. So we also factor into your own professional and academic interests.
Yeah, and just to add, yeah, students, yeah, the program places you in university or community college. Students do not choose their placement at the universities, yeah.
So there's a question from Yelena, and I think she means the recommendation letters. Should translation have a stamp /sign, or a stamp /sign on the Russian document is enough?
If it's a translation, we would like to have kind of a confirmation that the translation is accurate. So if you are doing a translation at the Bureau of Translation, Bureau Переводов, let's say, usually they will put a stamp confirming that the translation is accurate. So I would say, as we mentioned in the recommendation letter, if it's written by a professor, by someone, it doesn't have to have a stamp. If I, for example, if I'm writing a letter of recommendation, I will put just my signature. I will not put the stamp. But if the letter is written in Russian and you go into the Office of Translation and you translate it, in the Office of Translation, then you would put a stamp that the translation is accurate. Another option is, yeah, you translate this and get back to your professor, and he signed the letter of recommendation, which is in English. So I think, yeah, that answers the question. Yeah.
So Ludmila asks, is it possible to leave the US in case of some emergency situation?
So yeah, in case of emergency situation, yes, but usually students, when they participate in the program, they are staying for the whole 2 semesters and leaving the US only back to Russia in case of emergency situations, because we understand emergencies can happen. So in case of emergencies, yes. If you're asking, for example, if you're interested, if you can travel to Mexico or Canada for travel, no. The short answer is no. So the activities of the program take place in US, and you are expected to stay in US for the entire program.
Yeah, I can say from our experience, we traveled earlier back to Russia due to the COVID. So it was this emergency situation that made our departure earlier than expected. So Elizaveta asks, can I continue studying at the university in the US after finishing the program? No,
the short answer is no, unfortunately no. After the completion of the program, you are required basically to return back to Russia and continue your studies at the home university in Russia. And we have many questions. The program will not accept transfer of sponsorship to other programs. So even if your university in US asks us to transfer our sponsorship to them, we will not accept, we will not transfer the scholarship. So the short answer, after the completion of the program, participants are expected to return back to Russia, are required. And as you saw in the eligibility requirements, there is this requirement committed to return back to Russia after the completion of the program.
Mm-hmm. Tatiana asks, is it acceptable if an applicant submits a transcript with grades only from the latest semester, or should they be all from all semesters?
It should be from all semesters. So basically if you first, second, third, fourth, all the semesters you have until now. So if you're a second year student, you will submit the grades for both semester, winter and summer session from the first year. If you are third year student, you will submit grades for all 4 semesters, first year and second year.
There are a couple questions about community service and volunteering from Elia. So she asks, does it take place at the beginning of the program? And for how long does an applicant volunteer for? I think Kira has touched on it.
Yeah. I don't know if Kira wants to speak. Yeah, I say, yeah, no, it should be throughout the year, but it's up to you if you want to do it at the very beginning, if you want to do it at the very end, or in the middle. So you have 25 hours through the year. I don't know, Kira, if you want to add something else here.
I don't know, I just can add that in my year, I did all of those hours in the first semester, but community service is very interesting. And of course, I continued doing it in the second semester. And this is encouraged by year program, of course.
So Ekaterina asks, sometimes exchange students don't get on well with host families. Is there any opportunities to change the host family?
So of course, things happen. Yeah, maybe disagreements. Yeah, may happen with host families. But as we said, yeah, students are living on campus, so mostly they're connecting with the host families on shorter terms. If they don't get well, yeah, there is of course different mitigation strategies in place. We are considering, yeah, connecting with another host families, and but the program wants to make sure that students have this home stay experience to have this immersion into American culture. And of course, if disagreements happen, we put in place, we get to the mitigation strategies, either connecting to a different families, yeah, facilitation, dialogue with the host family students. So the responses would be, there are definitely mitigation strategies in place.
There is a question from Chulpan. She says, I'm going to join the work and travel program this summer. And my question is related to obtaining a visa. Can I apply for a J1 visa in winter to participate in work and travel? Work in the USA from May to August?
Well, that's a good question. I don't know if I have the answer here exactly, because this is also kind of already related to the American consulate in Russia. But maybe you can find a way to participate in both, but you should keep in mind the following 2 elements. If you are becoming a finalist, you will have to be in Moscow, sometimes in June, July, to get your J1 visa to participate for the year program in US. And you also will start your program in US in August, in early August, because most American universities start their programs in early August. So if you'll be in US, for example, for the work and travel in June, July, and it continues until September, you may have to suspend your work and travel because the program actually starts in August next year. So you might not be able to, to make both of them, to put in place both plans. So you might have to choose either work and travel or year program, because as I said, students, finalists have to go to the US consulate to apply for visa in June, July, participate in the pre-departure orientation, which is mandatory in Russia. So if you are in US, you cannot participate, which makes you basically ineligible. And you have to start the program in August next year.
Sophia asks, should an essay be in a formal style, or is it not forbidden to use more everyday vocabulary and keep a personal touch in it?
Zoe, you have experience writing a lot of essays.
Yeah, this is definitely a very good question to ask. I would say that the essay should focus on a good combination of both. I think in the essay, we're really looking to learn more about yourself and your personality. So I definitely think that we welcome students to add more their own kind of personal touch in it. And if you feel that you'd like to include maybe some more everyday vocabulary, then I think it's a good idea.
Mm-hmm. So there is another question from Sofia. Do the year participants skip a year of studies in their home university and need to study one additional year? Or does it depend on the university specific requirements?
I can answer, but you want like Diana and Kira, how was in your case when you studied?
Yeah.
I can answer that question, but maybe if you want to touch on it.
As you said before, every university has its own policy when it comes to exchange programs. So in my case, I had to take a gap year. So I did skip 1 year. So for now, if I didn't participate in year program, I would have graduated already. But now I'm having my senior year in my home university. So it depends. Kira?
Yeah, in my case too, I also took a gap year at my home university, but I don't think it was like a missed year. Of course, it was a great experience, and I encourage you to do it if you have to, according to your university.
There is a question. Can I take a part in this program if my faculty is architecture?
Yeah, as you said, yeah, all fields of study can apply for the program, yeah.
There is a question from Seth. What about the pandemic and the year? Any changes in the program?
Well, if we speak about the current year, yeah, there has been changes, and basically all the exchange programs have been not suspended yet, moved virtually for the current year, for the fall semester to 2020 and spring semester 2021. So all the exchange programs, I think, mostly are virtually at this point. But we all hope that things will improve by next fall, and students will be able to travel to the United States. And if the pandemic will not end, at least there will be some vaccine. There will be, again, mitigation strategies in place so that crisis management strategies in place that can control the pandemic, maybe. But unfortunately, yeah, this year has been a very challenging one. But again, hopefully by next August, things will be much better and we'll have a different picture.
Mm-hmm. Dasha asks, what is the passing score for TOEFL?
Zoe, do you want to take it?
Yeah, sure. So the minimum score for the program would be a score of 60. But as we mentioned, all students that move on to the semifinal stage will take part in the TOEFL exam. But this is the minimum score.
There is a question from Kate. Do I need to write the titles of certification in Russian in the resume?
Good question, and I'll cover a little bit more. So all documents and the entire application should be submitted in English because we are definitely monitoring the applications that are coming in, and we saw some applications in Russian. So please submit the application in English because the reviewers are American professors and they don't necessarily know the Russian language. So when you submit the essay, you submit the application, resume, submit them in English. So answering this question, if you're submitting a resume, make sure it is written in English and information about the awards and certificates are included in English, in the English language.
Raphael asks, what about an exchange program for my specialization? For example, I'm studying to be a programmer. Will I be able to continue studying subjects related to computer science in America?
Zoe, you want to?
Yeah, definitely a good question. So as I mentioned, the program is open to students in all different types of fields. And we do have students currently in the program that are studying programming, IT, kind of those different STEM areas of study. And there's a lot of programs in the United States that you'll be able to take courses related to that field of study. They might not be directly the same as maybe the requirements for your home program in Russia, but you would have the option to continue studying in that field.
There's a question from Anna. Should our resume include contacts of leaders of projects?
In some cases, we see resumes that they include like, contact information of references for persons who can provide references. I wouldn't say students include information from their places, from their volunteering. They can, of course, but it's not required to include the address and the contact information from your activities. But again, just being honest when you make the resume, and that's it.
There's a question from Anna. Should I include work and volunteer experience if it does not accompany the goals I point in my essay? For example, I worked as a barista, but I want to study international relationships.
Zoe, do you want to have any advice here?
Yeah. I think it's definitely really good to include any experience that you might have that you find could be relevant for the program. So for example, working as a barista would definitely be applicable to having work experience and maybe showing some of the skills that you've gained from working in this position. So yeah, even if it doesn't directly relate to maybe international relations, there's so many skills that you learn just in your day-to-day life that we really would love to see in your resume.
Yeah, just to add here, sometimes students may think it may be modest. They think that it's not relevant and may be discouraged. But for example, barista, it may tell us that you have great customer service skills. You have good social skills. So, and then besides academia, you're involved in extracurricular activities. So don't be modest, as I said, in submitting the resume.
There's a good question. What is more crucial, letters or grades?
If we mean about the transcript, I think, my understanding is probably because in Russia there are some schools that give by пятибалльная система and I would say qualifications. Отлично, хорошо, удовлетворительно. So basically, when you translate, please keep it as close as possible to the original transcript in Russian. So if your Russian university is grading you on the, numbers like пятибалльная система, make it sure it is also translated at 5, 4, 3, and probably hope no one has 2. And if your university is grading on these systems like excellent, good, and satisfactory, please also translate it, making sure it is as accurately as close as possible to the original document in Russian. So if it's number grades, translate it in number grades. If it's excellent, good, satisfactory, translate this way too. Unless I think if that's the answer, the question was asked.
There is a question. How do you think, what are the most important personal traits for the program future participants?
Oh, that's a great question. Zoe, you want to start? I can start, but yeah.
I could go first. Yeah, definitely a good question. I would say that we don't necessarily look for students that have just one specific trait. As we mentioned during the presentation, many of previous year alumni come from very different backgrounds, and they have different interests, different types of personalities, which really adds to the program as a whole, because we have so many interesting students that add their own kind of personality and touch and bring new perspectives. So for us, I think what we're looking for is just somebody that's really has a clear goal for studying in the year program, and that we're really able to see how you feel that the program will benefit you, even if you maybe don't come from a specific background or field of study. So don't feel that you're, I would say maybe don't look at your personal traits that much, but focus more on really why you want to apply for the program and how you can carry that over to the application process.
Yeah, maybe just
I hope that helped.
Yeah, it's a general question. Probably we can solve for another hour. But I think, yeah, we don't look for a specific, I would say, checklist like this one, this checklist an applicant should have. Because if we look at Russia and US, it's a very big country and very diverse. And Russia has a very rich culture with many nationalities, many cultures. So, yeah, and everyone has its own specific, brings added value to the program. So I would say, yeah, just we want to see that a participant has a clear understanding why they want to participate into the program and how the program will help them.
Can a student that is studying in the third year in a 4-year program take an academic leave and apply for the program?
No, I could develop more, but the short answer is unfortunately no, because the program, as I said, yeah, to return back to Russia after the completion of the program and continue their studies their last year in Russia. So next year you might be fourth year student, and if you, for example, participate in academic mobility, your year in US cannot be the last year of study in Russia. So I know many students ask this question, but unfortunately, no. Third year student, even if you take academic leave, these students are not eligible to participate in the program.
Yelena asks, can the participant choose the region or the city?
Again, yeah, I think when we covered with host institutions, as we said, the program places students at host institutions and community colleges, and students cannot choose their community college or university. So as a result, yeah, students cannot choose their region or city because the program will match participants with the host institutions. And as Zoe mentioned, when we place students at the host institution, we are placing based on their interest, on their major, on their TOEFL score, and their interest. Yeah. And I think this was the last question.
I see a lot of questions. Yeah, I see a lot of questions about transcripts. So, Vitaly, maybe you can elaborate one more time on it. Like what sessions can be included in the transcripts?
Okay, maybe I should say it in Russian because it's a critical question, maybe. Also, I'll speak in Russian a little bit, yeah. Maybe my Russian is not that perfect, but yeah, hopefully you'll understand me. То есть, если вы обучаетесь в России, как, допустим, на первом курсе у вас нет оценок, потому что у вас не было никакой сессии, не было ни зимней, ни летней сессии. То есть первокурсники в таком случае, они прилагают школьный аттестат с оценками из средней школы в данном случае. Если вы обучаетесь на втором и третьем курсе, то есть вы прикладываете справку об успеваемости с университета, с вуза или зачетную книжку с оценками. То есть если вы обучаетесь на третьем курсе сейчас, то вы прилагаете все оценки за предыдущие первые 2 года, за первые 2 года. То есть включая последнюю летнюю сессию 2020 года. Мне кажется, я видел там вопрос относительно октября, потому что если у него была сессия в октябре, если прилагать оценки тоже с октября. Ну, если возможно, если университет предоставляет эти оценки, транскрипт с оценками с октября, желательно иметь эти оценки. Однако, если ввиду времени это невозможно, тогда включайте оценки с летней сессии 2020 года. То есть оценки не с последней сессии, а все сессии, которые у вас были в университете. И это как бы прилагается к транскрипт на русском, копию. И потом надо переводить этот транскрипт оценки на русском и прилагать уже перевод на английском в разделе Copy of Transcripts in English. То есть, Диана, Кира, я думаю, надеюсь, что это ответил на вопросы, как бы, но если есть дополнительные, I can answer them.
There is a question from Alexandra. If the US Embassy doesn't open the application for J1 visa till the next academic year, will selected students be able to go in 2021?
So of course, we all hope the visa will resume, and this is, I would say, a precondition, a required condition for the participant to participate in the program. If visas and services are not resumed, students will not be able to travel to US because you cannot travel without a visa, basically. But as I said, I'm trying to be on the optimistic side, and our team is trying to be on the optimistic side, and hopefully things will be in much better shape by next summer.
I think it's very hard to predict anything
at this point. Yeah,
at this point.
Yeah, I would say it's impossible. Yeah, to make any projections at this point.
What is the level of English I need to have? A1 to C2?
It's difficult. Yeah, you all will be tested when we have the virtual interviews. That's going to be an opportunity for us to test your verbal English. And then finalists will take the TOEFL test, and based on the TOEFL test, yeah, the TOEFL test will give us a good understanding of your TOEFL understanding in English. I would say, even if you don't feel that you have an excellent language, we don't require an excellent language. You have a good understanding of English so that you can communicate and write in English. If you're feeling comfortable, yeah. And if you know that you want to participate in the program, you become a finalist, it's a good time now to take more time and to prepare yourself to improve your English language. So in case you become a semi-finalist, you perform well at the interview. And if you become a finalist, you perform well at the TOEFL test. So yeah, we don't require students to have 120 TOEFL score. That's absolutely, yeah. And as Zoe mentioned, yeah, usually most host institutions require minimum 60 TOEFL score, which is, I would say, very doable. It's easy to get 60 points on TOEFL.
Mm-hmm. Vitaly, considering the time, how many questions you
Let's
can
take
answer?
two, 3 more questions. Yeah.
Okay. Vika asks, where could I find a list of universities and colleges?
Yeah, as I mentioned, yeah, I don't know if we spoke, but the list of schools we will partner, will host students is selected every year. So for example, yeah, because we have a list of universities that are currently interested to host students. And for next year, we will work and we'll run another competition with host institutions so that they can submit their expression of interest to host students. So the exact list of universities will be available sometimes in March, May next year, because universities, they have to also consult internally and to confirm if they are able to host ES students. So we may have universities that are currently hosting students, but they may not be interested to host next year, for example. So, but you know, students, they have different groups. Yeah, we are partnering, yeah, with a wide range of universities. For example, this year we have, for example, University of Mississippi, as Zoe mentioned, Missouri State University, University of Minnesota, University of Central Washington from the West Coast. West Virginia University has a good record also hosting ES students. And then we have colleges like, as you, Diana, went to Alma College, which is a private college. Then we have community colleges like Kira went to SUNY Broome Community Colleges, Valencia College, we have Lake Tahoe College from the West Coast. We have in the Midwest, Coley College in Arkansas. So the exact list will be in April, May, but once again, students are not selecting their placement. The program places students.
Yeah. And I think it's going to be our final question for today. How many people are accepted in this program this year?
I would say slightly more than 100 students.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I think, yeah, let's maybe conclude, but if students or applicants have any other questions, please feel free to write us at our email, info@yearofexchange.org, or on the VK, our program page, or in the Facebook. I think we've been in touch with most of applicants on the VK, on Facebook, and please feel free, any questions you have, to reach out to us on VK, by email, or Facebook. Yeah. And yeah, with this, I'd like to thank once again, we would like to thank once again all the applicants for great questions, very excellent questions. And as I mentioned, if you have additional questions, please feel free to reach out to us. I'd like to thank once again the American Center for providing this opportunity to speak with applicants and to answer questions and to provide information about the program. And of course, I would like to thank you, Diana, Kira, and Zoe for joining us and helping us with this presentation today. So wish you all a great afternoon, and be in touch. Looking forward to seeing your applications. Thank you.